Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? Welcome back to the Debt Management Masterclass, and today we are talking about just throwing a nuclear bomb on budgeting. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that budgeting is bad because budgeting is certainly better than doing nothing, but I am going to say that the fact that you're here, I'm assuming that you want more from your life. I come from the belief, and I guess this is a belief I built for my life, that you can't shrink your way to wealth. Budgeting to me, I always had a hard time with personally. I never could wrap my head around it. I could never get myself to execute on it because I just didn't believe it was going to help me get to the life that I wanted to live. And every time I got to the place of going and creating a budget and having to think about, like, what am I going to cut out of my life to live the life that I want to live, like, subconsciously I couldn't align my mind and my heart with the fact that, like, how am I actually going to create what I want to live by, like, cutting things out without being really clear about it all? And it just felt like I was constantly putting myself in this, like, position of failure, and I felt like I should be further ahead than I was, and I just wasn't reaching the results that I wanted to as fast as I wanted to, and so I struggled, quite frankly. And so that's where I was introduced to this idea of cash flow planning, and when I started doing that, it was all about, how do we stop thinking like a consumer? Consumers think about budgeting, right? And that's what they do. But stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an entrepreneur. And think about running my life like a business, running my personal finances like I could run my business. And that's one of the things, like, my wife used to give me a real hard time because she used to get really frustrated with me with the fact that I would run my businesses and my household and my personal finances completely differently because I didn't understand, and I didn't build the bridge, right? And my business life, I'd have these P&Ls and I'd be super organized and I'd have a team and I'd have all these things that I'd outsource and be successful with. In my personal life, it was just a total mess, because I just didn't understand what to measure, and I didn't even think about why should they be any different, right? Success is success. The principles of success are non-negotiable. And so what I decided to do is start running my personal life like a business, start thinking about it like that, and instead of doing a budget, start doing a cash flow plan, utilizing a personal profit loss statement every single month for me to accomplish my goals, right? And so now what I want to do is I want to walk you through the process that you can go through to actually do the same thing. So without further ado, let's get into this. So budgeting, as you can see here, we want to kill this. We want to kill budgeting. Why? Because we're going to be focused on cash flow planning, CFP. Now, why? Budgeting is about tracking expenses, whereas cash flow planning is about managing cash flow. As we've gone through this course, you know that cash flow planning is the key to everything. We don't want to accumulate money. We want to increase our monthly and annual cash flow, right? Budgeting doesn't give you any clarity on your progress towards your financial goals. Why? Because it silos it. Remember a couple of videos we talked about all the different silos that we have in our financial lives, and unfortunately they have a tendency to negatively spill over into each other, to leak into each other, or to pull away from each other to make it so we don't reach our goals, whereas cash flow planning actually shows us our real financial health in real terms, and it tells us what we can do, from that point forward. Now, what I want to do now is I want to go through some steps that you can take to actually implement this in your own life. Step one, you got to track all your income. Income planning, income tracking, I should say, is so important. Income planning is very important too, but income tracking is so important. You want to be able to go through all your different monthly sources of income, your primary income, your side hustles, your investments. I even go through, and I used to bowl, right? Like, I used to be a competitive bowler, and I would go bowling, and I would bowl competitively, and I would make money. It was actually a profitable thing for me to do. I'd make like $200 a week bowling after all expenses. And so that would be even a side hustle for me. I didn't go, while I had a couple buddies that I would bowl with, they would go blow the money on beer and food and drinks and stuff like that. And I would take my money and I would reinvest it. And I would consider that to be a side hustle, right? And I would create a bankroll that I would have for that, and that would be my side hustle that I would know how to do it with. And I would be able to, like, take that and scale it up and go bowl in other tournaments, and I would reinvest in myself, and I would use that money to buy new equipment that I could reinvest into, bowling. I haven't bowled in like 8 years now, but it was a really good fun time back in the day. I grew up competitively bowling and stuff of that nature, and it was a fun time, but that's another part of my life ago. But understanding, I'm just using that example to even show like something like that would be considered a side hustle, right? Think about achieving your goals and everything that you have in your life to be able to create any kind of income. I don't care if it's bowling or if it's driving Uber. Whatever you have for an opportunity to create a side hustle income, include that in everything and track everything, right? Primary income, side hustles, and investment income, which would be more passive income, right? Those are the things that we need to track. Now, step 2, we get into categorizing expenses. We got to categorize expenses because what we have to do is by organizing our expenses into categories that align with your current cash flow goals, what you're going to do is you're going to start to focus on understanding the cash flow impact of your decisions rather than the budgeting rigidity, right? So what I mean by this is like budgeting, as we said before, is rigid. It's restrictive. You can't shrink your way to wealth. You're constantly going to probably be ridiculing yourself. You're constantly going to be questioning and doubting, and it's kind of a low vibration activity is restriction, right? That is a low vibration activity. By focusing on cash flow planning, what you're focusing on is your bigger cash flow goals. You're focusing on the big picture and the goals. And now if you have to make restrictions, I'm not saying there might not need to be restrictions. When you run a business, there are good seasons and bad seasons. There are going to be seasons of your business that you got to, tighten up the belt a little bit. But the goal isn't to tighten up the belt to be there forever, because the bottom line is, as a business, you just understand you want to get back there to get to the next good season, and you're doing it with a specific intent to expand. Sometimes you got to tighten the belt to expand, right? And the bottom line is by focusing on this and categorizing the expenses and doing it through this lens, now by tracking your income and understanding where the expenses are coming, now what you have to do is you go through and you figure out, all right, what's my total monthly active and passive cash flow look like, right? So your cash flow you can do very simply. You go through and you say, all right, what's my total revenue minus my total expenses? That's going to equal my monthly cash flow. Now, the first thing we're going to do here is figure out how much of this monthly cash flow is passive. How much of that monthly cash flow is passive? And when you figure that out, now you're going to say all of that money, all of your passive money, you're going to reinvest. Why are you going to reinvest your passive money? Because of the fact that you want to compound your passive income. That's going to help you reach your financial goals faster. That is going to be the key to you reaching financial freedom in the next 10 to 15 years. No matter where you are, no matter what your skills and abilities are with all this right now, you can reach it in 10 to 15 years max, right? Out of your monthly cash flow that is active, you got to figure out out of your active income, how much are you going to reinvest out of this, your free and clear monthly cash flow? What are you going to reinvest in that? And my suggestion is the higher the percentage of this that you can reinvest, the faster you're going to reach freedom, right? That just is what it is. Now, one of the things that I like to show here is this example. I'm going to erase this for a second, just kind of do it over. I did this before and I had a little technical error, so I had to film this video over again, so that was there. But let's say you have $10,000 in per month in income, okay? The challenge is if we're trying to save and invest, I showed you a couple of years ago, or a couple of videos ago, that you need $4 million, or you need actually $10 million. $10 million in assets to be able to maintain that, because this is going to grow, and which is like, it's $100,000 a year is what I say right now, but that's going to grow to the need of $400,000 per year in 36 years, right? That's going to be the growth and the change and all this stuff. So the power of focusing on cash flow planning is that, bang, year one, you can get to $200 a month of passive income. There's really no reason you can't. But the problem is that's only 2% of the goal. So that may not seem like a huge dent in what your goal is, but the bottom line is this: if you're reinvesting all this 2%, that's $2,400 a year of extra addition, right? And if that grows the next year to say $400 per month, right? Now it's $4,800. And if you reinvest that, right, then you're going to be able to reinvest it, and it's going to go up and up and up and up. Now, I'm not saying the goal is to get to 10,000, because by the time you hit 10,000 at year 10, you might need to have $15,000 per year, based on the fact that you've probably increased your earning capacity. Inflation is now requiring more out of you to hit the same levels. But the bottom line is, because of the fact that you've gone through and you've done these steps, and you've tracked your income, you've categorized your expenses, you've been able to adapt on everything. It's huge, right? Because it's going to help you reach your goals. And this leads to what the advantages of cash flow planning are, because the flexibility to adapt to your income changes is massive. Because as you go through this right here, $10,000 a year goes down to $15,000 a year, or up to $15,000 a year at year 10. As you go through this, year to year, year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, your needs, your incomes are going to change. So you're always going to have a moving target of what you're trying to reach. Once you reach where you have enough passive income at $15,000 a year, let's just say that's the number. Once this is passive, now you have financial freedom, right? When that passive income, when your passive equals what your active income was, now you have financial freedom. Does that mean you're going to stop working? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you want to do something more with your life. Maybe you love your job. Maybe you want to take that and do more with it and reinvest on a bigger level, to retire at a bigger level, to create a bigger legacy, to create a big family trust, to change life for generations to come for your family. I don't know what's important to you, where your values and beliefs are, and what you want to put your time and energy into, but that's where the power comes from. That's where the power starts. It begins, is right there. Now, the other advantages of cash flow planning is that it offers you proactive financial management. The bottom line is this: by doing this stuff monthly, by looking at your life from a monthly cash flow, profit and loss statement management, it allows you and kind of fosters an environment that puts you in this position to make proactive decisions regarding your cash flow management. You're always working towards a goal. You're thinking and starting with the end in mind, and therefore you're being proactive, and you kind of have a better view, a better understanding, and more clarity about the picture that you're dealing with financially. And it's just going to help you get to where you want to get on a more predictable basis, and you're going to become more and more skilled at that the more you do it. But at the end of the day, here's what I'd say, is that as awesome as all this is, I would throw all that out if it just did this one thing. Unlike budgeting, cash flow planning focuses on wealth building through reinvestment. You can't shrink your way to wealth. I can't say that enough when I'm talking about this topic. You have to focus on growth, on value creation, on expansion, on creating value in your life, in your clients' lives, in the community around you, and that's going to be what helps you get to where you want to go, right? Period. There's no way around it. So focus on wealth building through reinvestment, and by doing all this stuff, that process is going to be absolutely key and pivotal in you reaching your financial goals. So what I would say at this point in time is there's a couple things you need to do. A, put together a templated sheet to track your expenses, to track your income, and to really put together your monthly free and clear cash flow, both the active cash flow and the passive cash flow, so you can know what to do from there. I also have a sheet that you can utilize to track all of your expenses, and I'll put it down there in the description, in the link in the description below. You can go get that sheet for free. That sheet is a fillable PDF. It's designed for you to be able to just track your expenses, and then you want to correlate that to your monthly free and clear cash flow. That's the first thing. Now, the next thing that I would do is make sure that you are committing to monthly and annual profit loss meetings with yourself or with your spouse, and even better would be to do it with your spouse. I do believe that doing this sort of thing with your spouse creates a level of accountability. I know it makes it wildly uncomfortable for a lot of people out of the gate. So if you don't want to do it with your spouse, I mean, you don't have to. You could do it by yourself, but my experience is that doing it with your spouse increases the level of accountability and increases the rate of success that people have in actually executing this. And then, of course, when you do that, your goals are going to constantly change. And so utilize that information to constantly be pivoting as you go through this process. Now, the next thing that we're going to be talking about in the next video, hopefully you found value in this video. And if you did, please like it, share it, subscribe, do all those things, get it out there to get this information out there to people, because I think it's wildly powerful for people to understand this stuff. I'm going to have the playlist that they can actually, get full access to this. Or if you're taking the course online, I would totally suggest just sharing the link to be able to take the course in sequential order for somebody. Just share that link with them. But the next video to get prepared for is financial efficiency. This is probably my favorite topic. It's one of the reasons that I got into this business when I learned about this stuff and started implementing it in my own life and realized how important it was to my success. Like all of this debt management stuff and all of this cash flow management stuff, it all comes down to financial efficiency. If we don't understand basic things like opportunity cost, basic things like recapturing money that we're losing unknowingly, unnecessarily, to these things like debt in ways that we don't understand, ways that honestly we've been reprogrammed in a lot of ways and programmed in ways that are not to our benefit, right? The next video, we're going to be talking about increasing your financial efficiency, creating an opportunity fund for you to reach your financial goals faster, and leveraging your debt right now, turning that debt into a wealth building machine. I know that may sound crazy, but it's totally possible. If you have any questions, comment in the comment section below. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Till then, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.